Someone might say, why didn't you just leave? The situation is extremely complicated. On one hand, I had an innate loyalty to my parents. I wanted things to work out for all of us, to be a happy family. I wanted to be a good son, and I wanted them to desire to be good parents. When I was young, I would envision myself sitting at the dinner table with my own family. It would be structured and proper. There would be the correct amount of love coupled with a healthy amount of discipline. No drama or manipulation. I lost myself in movies due to the fairy tale aspect because I wanted so much to have an adjusted home. I tried extremely hard through my adult years to reconcile this problem we all had to no avail. I would approach my parents from time to time and try to reason with them. Stating the obvious, it was difficult to watch them go belligerent. I seemed to be the only one working towards anything to fix the situation, and we all simply didn't get along. There was always a dark cloud, negative energy hanging over everything. We would all sit there and barely tolerate each other in the end. Dad was always grumpy and rude to everyone who spoke to him. My mother was manipulative and condescending as ever. Holidays all were very forced. I believe that we all had been through too much with each other, and the situation we were all in had run its course. There was never any love in our home, so what's the use? Why be around people you can't stand? It's only a formality that they happen to be family. My advice would be, if you're in the same situation as I was in, then you walk. You walk early to spare yourself the pain. Still, I spend excessive amounts of my personal time doing physical and emotional labor for these people. Labor with the only reward being that what they deemed necessary to pay. In most cases, it was nothing. It appeared to be expected as a payback for them raising me, though they never made that known. I immediately had an issue with that for obvious reasons. The more I looked at it, they obviously had no idea what they were doing. None of it ever made any sense, and I spent most of my time trying to make sense of it. Unfortunately for the world, I've ascertained in almost a half a century that most human beings behave this way. Most are non-player characters, of which I do not fit in. Narcissism is God. They walk through life with little remorse for their actions. It's up to the rest of us, that very small percentage, to carry the weight of their collective ignorance. Here's a quick and easy example of what a relationship with my mother looks like. I become estranged from my mother due to petty drama. She petitions my sister to help her get an exchange student to fill the void. Pet. Gets a sweet girl from China trying to further her education. My father proceeds to immediately mentally abuse her. My mother completes my father's circle of abuse. They sever the relationship with my sister. I come back into the picture. My wife and I take care of the exchange student. They continue to treat her terribly. She locks herself in her room for the last month until she went back to China. No lie, that is exactly how that situation went down. My wife and I drove her to all of her high school events, helped her navigate them. We even taught her how to ride a bike. We carved pumpkins at Halloween. All the things that a person would want to do in a foreign country. I have a bunch of pictures of our time with her, and my mother and father are never in them. I'm not aware of what happened from day to day in their house, as I drew the line at her sleeping at my house. My sister and I know. Cold emptiness, rude behavior, the energy sucks there. As far as locking herself in a room, she came out for meals but was very distant for the last month. She really didn't even say goodbye. I would say she had enough of my father. He was such an outwardly mean person, very hard to live with day by day. I watched him ignore her and be snide to her the entire time that she was here. I'm positive he treated her the same way as everyone else in his life when the door was closed. He came to my house hopping mad one time because he had to drive her to an event. My mother did nothing to enrich her stay in the United States, and once again enabled my father to abuse yet another human being. This human being was intended to help them in every way, with nothing in return. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My wife and I were the only shining light for her visit. My mother and father were and still are, in the past, present, or future, alive or dead, for every right and purpose, totally worthless human beings. The only worth they pursue or possess is one that leads directly back to themselves. They will and have stopped at nothing to gain what they desire themselves. I got to thinking this morning, my wife had mentioned something about something she did. We saw something on the news about an intersection in a city, and my wife was like, "Oh yeah, I've been there." And it was like right across from where I was born, you know. It was just like one of those things. We were just kind of talking about it. And she's like, "I remember being down there. I drove so and so, the exchange student, down there." And then early in the morning, you guys can probably relate to me. Maybe I shouldn't hear things like that early in the morning. Because then I started thinking about it. And I seem to be more sensitive in the morning. I heard Chris Robinson from the Black Crowes, a blues band called Black Crowes, say he always wrote all his best material in the morning. So I can kind of relate to that. But yeah, and what I thought was like, I was like, my wife, what are you doing driving my mother's foreign exchange student to anything? Because that was the problem for me. I guess I really haven't thought about it. I hadn't thought about it in a while. But then that brought up, like I said here, we taught her how to ride a bike. I've got pictures of us carving jack-o'-lanterns with her. On that same Halloween, I actually made her up. I did like prosthetic stuff very, very crudely for a little while. I guess I was okay at it, but I used to enjoy doing it. So I did her up into this bloody thing, and she loved it. She was a great girl. She was a little shy. She was different. She was from Hong Kong, not necessarily China. Well, China, you know. China's got it now. That was before China actually had it. I've got, like I said, the first thing my mother's going to do to the one person that would listen to her, or to the world as it's stated right now, if she could make a TikTok video, that didn't happen. I have a hard drive sitting right here with all these pictures. Jack-o'-lanterns, bicycles, graduation. We walked her through graduation, prom. We drove her. You know, we put her through all the stuff. We talked to her. These pictures are in my house, and my mother and father are not in them. So I was estranged. My mother so broke up. She gets the exchange student, and with the only purpose to use this exchange student as a tool to possess the same way that they possessed their children, me and my sister. And absolutely wrong, terrible thing to do. She got through, but at the end, I promise you 100%, she started putting herself in a room. And of course, you can't lock that door because I grew up in basically a shack, and it's a accordion kind of door thing. And she stayed in that room. And, you know, my parents did not bother her. She stayed in that room. She didn't even talk to us. And I wasn't aware that anything happened. You know, my parents aren't, you know, necessarily monsters. I don't think anything really bad happened. But I really swear to you, it had to have been. My father just did something to her finally. And she said, you know what? I am out. And because that's what me and my sister did. But I wanted to put that in this list here and show you exactly. I mean, I have been through so many situations just like that with my mother. And like when she got, my sister did the whole exchange student thing, and she's got great exchange students from different countries that she still talks to. And my sister was nice enough, oh yeah, I'll help you out, Mom. And then I come back and she drops my sister. And then she drops that exchange student in my lap. And now she really did act like it was my fault that she got that exchange student. And why I started this off, you might ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why am I so pissed off? Why don't you just leave? These are the reasons why it was. I was, just trapped. And she threw it at me. What do? You take that girl was like 16, 17, 18, I don't know. Just throw it to the wayside? No. I gave her the situation she had in this country. You're welcome.